Lesson 119, Ratios and Rates. So yesterday we looked at what a ratio is, and a ratio is just a comparison of two quantities or two amounts. And I have here for you two examples of ratios. So for the first example, you can imagine there's a group of 30 people. 10 of them are wearing red shirts and 20 are wearing white shirts. So we are comparing the red shirts to white shirts, and the comparison is there are 10 red to 20 white shirts. Now for the second example, it could be that somebody read 16 books over the course of 8 months. So now, instead of comparing shirts to shirts, we are comparing books to months. How many books did they read in 8 months? Okay, so those are both considered ratios, comparison of two quantities. Now, what's new today is a rate, and a rate is just a specific type of ratio. All right, so every time you see the word rate, it is a ratio. It's just a specific type. And the type it is that the quantities have different units. All right, so the second example here is an example of a rate because we are comparing books to months. We're not comparing books to books, okay? So the quantities have different units. So the first example of shirts and shirts would not be an example of a rate because we are comparing the same things, all right? So a rate is a type of ratio where the quantities have different units. So both of my examples here, the ones about the shirts and the books and the months, both ratios, but only one of them is a rate. Now, one last thing that we have to learn is a unit rate. And a unit rate is a type of rate. So it's a type of rate that has 1 as the denominator. All right, so what we have here is we want to take this rate of 16 books to 8 months, and we want to make it have 1 as the denominator. So if somebody read 16 books in 8 months, we could use a unit rate to figure out how many books did they read per month. So each month, how many books were they reading? So we want 1 month as the denominator. And just like we were doing last time with equivalent ratios or equal ratios, you can think of it like a fraction. What was done to that 8 to turn it into 1? Well, you would be dividing by 8. So to find how many books this person read in 1 month, you do the same thing. You divide it by 8 and you find that they read 2 books in 1 month. And that is your unit rate. Okay? And you can write that information as either the words 2 books per month, or you can do 2 books / month. That is also acceptable. The slash stands for per. And you use unit rates, well, most often you would use them a lot of times in grocery stores. So let's imagine we have 2 different grocery stores that are advertising their prices for bread. So at store A, they have a special on $10.50 for 3 loaves of bread. Now store B doesn't have a special for 3 loaves of bread. It just has $3.25 for 1 loaf. And you want to know what is the better deal. You're going to use your knowledge of unit rates to figure out what the better deal is. So we're going to set it up. Our rate here, so we've got $10.50 for 3 loaves. All right, and we want to know what would that be per loaf. So what would that be for 1 loaf of bread at store A? And you follow the exact same steps as we did last time. You would divide by 3 to get that 1, which means you have to divide the top by 3 as well. Divide your $10.50 by 3. So you take your $10.50, you do some division. 3 goes 5 times. 15, end up with a 0. I'm running out of space, but you get the idea. Ooh, that's a 0 there. All right, so you end up with an answer of $3.50 per 1 loaf at store A. So actually, store B is the better deal, $3.25 for 1 loaf. And you figured out that that was the better deal by finding the unit rate. Okay, so I'll just go over that one more time. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities. A rate, that's the specific type of ratio. Okay, the quantities have different units. So anytime you see different units in one of your ratios, think of it as a rate. If you see the same units, then it's just a regular old ratio. And then a unit rate is a rate with 1 as the denominator. And you use your knowledge of equivalent ratios to find that, and you just set it up that whatever your units are, 1 is the denominator to find that unit rate. And that's it. So hopefully simple for you. If you have any questions, let me know.